Hello and welcome to Mouse House Plus, brought to you by TPE Network.com. I'm Hank.
And I'm John.
And we're your hosts covering every episode of Loki Season 1. Oh, this is episode number 24 of Mouse House Plus. So we are going to bring the thunder. So
actually, I think it's more like bring the planet or moon. It was a moon. Never mind. Bring the moon.
Oh, that's great. So that intro was weird. The music kind of fitting into the opening sequence, I thought was kind of disturbing, if that makes sense.
I mean, they're going to constantly keep doing weird things with us. I mean, just think about whenever they did WandaVision with all the 50s music, and then I mean, they kept progressing in it in different styles. So it doesn't shock me at all.
And at first, I was like, they used to be friends, C20 and Lady Loki, yeah. And then the truth is discovered. So they were talking about brain freeze, and I was like, I think they're talking about us at home because we're at home with jaws dropped, brain frozen, going, how is this happening? That's what I think they were doing. It was a metaphor.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's nice that we quite literally pick up right where we were questioning at the end last time with what did they do with that agent? Like what would make her, question what, was that real? So now we're understanding that she's actually seeing what her real life was.
Right. That is kind of creepy that she can do that. But so how many people are guarding the timekeepers? When she starts probing like that, then you're pulled out of the illusion, as the viewer. And C20 starts to get it, starts to come out of it, and then she'd try to reset everything to keep her in it. But obviously this was prior to last week's ending, the episode last week where she's just a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the TVA, Sylvie, aka Lady Loki, finds out the hard way her powers don't work there. How would she not know that in all of her interrogation?
I don't think she was interrogated. I think that there's something else going on here. She knows about the TVA's existence. Maybe, in fact, she was a TVA agent. But I don't believe that she was in the TVA long enough for her to actually ever use any abilities for her to find out that it doesn't necessarily work on the TVA planet or wherever it is they are.
Because last week you said she was a variant that they had captured before.
I mean, and that is still a possibility that's out there.
If she was, she'd know her stuff doesn't work there, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but here's the same notion. Like Loki only tried to use his magic the one time and then found out that it didn't work. What happens if she got there and never even made it as far as where Loki did? And so she didn't even exhibit or try to use any of her powers until she was in a position where she was like, oh, crap, something could happen. But she got out of that before she even had to use her powers. So, I mean, we're talking about... She hasn't been there that long for it to actually have to worry about using it. Now
I find it hard to believe just from the sense of she would be trying to get away from them. Because she is very super smart.
Yeah, but I mean, they've never mentioned about her showing up before, but in this entire episode, she just keeps on popping back up on the TVA. So, I mean, why all of a sudden now? And it's like she knows that she can get to the time gods, keepers, whatever we're calling it. Oh wait, space lizards, the space lizards, and so she had no reason to ever go back to that place. She just had to get out of there.
Oh man!
But then again, what we find out later on in the episode, with her, we're talking, so she knows more information than she should. So, I mean, maybe she is like how everybody else is there, and we'll get to that in a moment.
Okay. Now she's able to Black Widow and prune some guards. That fight sequence was outstanding. Loved every second of it.
Yeah, she's pretty good with her flips.
You know what it reminded me of? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
Same kind of move sets and all that. Loki shows up and he gets his trademark daggers out of his locker. It's like he's back at school again. And then he's face to face with Lady Loki, and Ravonna shows up, and Lady Loki tries to use our Loki as a bargaining chip, and Ravonna's like, no, I don't care. You can kill him. I'm killing both of you. I'm going to prune both of you. And then he has the bright idea to use the temp pad, and he portals them through the floor, and I thought he just portaled them through the floor. Period. Like they were still in the TVA, but I found out instantly that they are not in the TVA anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they fight over that Tim pad, but it's on low battery. And here's where this is one thing in the episode that really fell down for me. You're telling me you have access to every period of time, but you're still governed by the low drained battery.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that too. I'm like, wow. I mean, I didn't see they didn't walk by the room where they had to pick up the docking station for the thing. You know, it's you think it would just be working nonstop.
Right.
Where's his flux capacitor? I mean, honestly.
But think of the arc reactor from Tony Stark and all these different energy sources we've seen in the MCU.
Yeah.
And they don't have access to any of this stuff. I was just like, yikes.
Well, I mean, everything is currently still a mystery right now anyway, so.
Or is it?
Dun, dun, dun.
Lady Loki says that she doesn't want to be called Loki. Mm-hmm. So she admits she is a variant of Loki. But John has some delusion that this is a totally different person. So tell them your delusion, John.
No, it is the second Enchantress. They're combining the characters and making this character who used to be just a normal person into Enchantress, who was given these powers by Loki to create chaos. So if Loki gave her the powers, it's completely possible that there's a piece of Loki with that, which makes her think that. But I mean, she didn't do anything in this entire episode with Loki that mirrored Loki. No, she didn't do it. I mean, there wasn't anything that they did together that matched. I mean, yes, I know she's a variant. They're not exactly the same, but you feel that if you're going to have the same character, even a different version of it, there's going to be some sort of a similarity that they're going to do outside of the outfit that she's wearing. But even the outfit is something reminiscent of the character of the Enchantress. But I mean, it was also something that was driven by the Lady Loki. But another big thing is the hair color, and then just all the nuances that she basically provides. I mean, shoot, she even the entire time was tossing out what she does, she's enchanting people. And it's the exact same thing that they did in WandaVision whenever Darcy was like, yeah, she's using her hex ability. And I'm calling it that because, she's in a what she created was a hex. So they like to subtly put these dumb things in there to connect it to the comic books without outright making it confusing. Because honestly, why would you call her ability hexes there whenever we're not even really 100% sure if it was magic or if it was the Mind Stone? But just because she said that, it's that. So with the Enchantress, how do we say that she's the Enchantress without making it outright saying she's a Enchantress? Well, we just actually name what it is she's doing. I mean, what else has she done so far that's a Loki thing that the Enchantress has done? I mean, she's just enchanting people. He's teleporting. He's changing, image, and she doesn't do any of that stuff.
Well, in the episode, she tells us, though, that she changed her name.
Yeah, because every single Loki or variant or anything like that has been truthful at all.
And look at the file they have, Luffy Son, but not, it doesn't say Luffy Son, but it says Luffy whatever.
Yep, and I have a feeling that that's a plant.
We'll see. We will see. But I think it's another case of Marvel writers not reading source material. So they say, this character seems cool. Why couldn't they just be this other person?
Well, yeah, but the giveaway here is that when they did have the female Loki character in the comics, she had greasy black hair, just like how Loki is, and she was just as conniving as this Loki is, except she also had the seduction part of it. So far, this Loki or whatever, or Lady Loki, Sylvie, whatever we're calling her, hasn't done any of that. She's blonde. She is not doing as much conniving stuff as Loki did. She's very direct with like how she wants to handle things, and it's very unlike the character of Loki. So, but it's not that unlike the character of the Enchantress, who is the agent of chaos from Loki.
I guess the single guy is going to have to smarten you up on women. When women try to distance themselves from something, they change their hairstyle and color. So they have hair color in the future. I'm pretty sure they do. But let's keep going, shall we?
Okay.
So as they are wrestling over this Tim pad or whatever and figuring out it has a low battery, they're interrupted by what I thought to be a laser blast, but it must have been just some kind of energy emanating from this planet that's about to smash into them or whatever.
No,
and
it was a moon.
And they're on Lamentis 1 in 2077.
Okay, but hold on. Before we move on with this, see, Lamentis is actually a real big call out for possibly something we'll see in the future. And actually one of the biggest bad guys of all of the Marvel universe. Doesn't even
Annihilus?
No, it's okay, let me read this. Oh, yes. The Annihilus Conquest prologue. So yeah, this basically whenever we introduce that, but it also involves Quasar and Moondragon, and there's a bunch of other stuff that happens there. But this is from the pages of Annihilus, is where we first see this this planet in Guardians of the Galaxy. With Guardians of the Galaxy.
Interesting. Okay. All right. She tries to use her magic on Loki, but it doesn't work. Or does it? I have a theory about this entire episode. Do you want to go into it now or later?
Sure.
Which one? Sure, which one?
Get into it.
I felt like either A, this entire episode is playing out in somebody's mind, or B, somebody's a liar about the Tim pad. I feel like it's one of two ways, because there's so many things in this episode that don't add up, and we'll get to them as we go.
No, I think it's legit. And this is another thing that leads to the reason why I don't believe that she's a Loki. Whenever Loki makes the Tim pad disappear and she's like, where did it go?
She's a variant of Loki. She doesn't have exactly. It's just like Hulk Loki is a variant of Loki. He's not going to be pulling magic tricks. He's going to be smashing people like the Hulk.
You're right. And in this case, she's the one who said that she ended up teaching herself, where Loki was taught by his mother. But again, we don't hear any more background story on her outside of that.
That's true.
So I'm telling you, it's a big play, man.
So her plans were years in the making, which made me think that you might have been correct about her being with the TVA at some point, but that doesn't add up, because when she goes to enchant someone inside the TVA, she would know that it wouldn't work.
No, not unless she didn't do that. Okay, think about it this way. So what we find out from her, do you mind if I skip ahead just a little bit, because we'll get to it again? Because it doesn't matter. Yeah. It either works here or it works there.
Okay, just make it brief.
Okay, so when we find out the fact that everyone there that works for the TVA is a variant, right? So she's a variant. We know that she's a variant. So had she been abducted by the TVA, she's working for the TVA, they would have wiped her. But what happens if she was a powered individual and eventually her consciousness came back and then she realized what was going on? She gets out of there. So she's never had a chance to use her powers out there, because, I mean, what happens if she was on the scene doing something just like our Agent 20, and all of a sudden, she gets hit in the head and her consciousness comes back. Then she doesn't go back to the TVA. She just leaves and goes somewhere else now. And she never has a chance to mess with them on whatever zone or area that the TVA is at.
That's actually a good theory. I'm actually going to give you
It's an interesting theory.
Where's
Give it
my
to you.
stars, man? Where's my stars?
I don't think I have them loaded on this.
I'm a junkie for these stars now.
I don't have them loaded on this actual theme. Sorry.
Also a side note here. It was also pointed out that, do you remember back in Ant-Man 2 when we see kind of the weird things in the background and it was kind of like a city? Maybe it's not a city.
I think it is. I think it's this.
I think it's this too. And there's people were pointing that out, that if you like, you had a screen grab. If you look behind Pym, like how the buildings, how they're like circular stacked, it matches what the TVA is. So maybe the TVA is existing in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And that's
time.
Yep.
Passes differently here.
Yep.
So they're all stuck in there. But why aren't they going crazy? Oh, we'll get to it. All right. They continue to bicker as she reveals her name change to Sylvie. He doesn't like her plan. They got 12 hours to get the power restored, and the temp pad requires a massive power source, which we've never seen in the first 2 episodes, which is really kind of stupid. Sorry.
Oh, wait. It would be a plot hole.
That's so dumb. Oh, these need a big supercharge. It's like,
look, what's dumb is the entire what happens to this thing at the end of its existence. So, and we'll get to that in a moment. I'm just going to tell everyone I'm going to vent about this. So anyway, go ahead. Continue on, sir.
I love that the settler blasts Sylvie to Kingdom Come, and then Loki's like, it's diplomacy time. And he's like, she's already heard his voice, but he's like, oh, I've missed you. He's trying to pretend like he's the long lost husband. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing, because you get blasted too. Now, riddle me this. Why doesn't the temp pad get smoked in that energy blast?
I don't know. So it's again, when he makes things disappear, where do they go? It's an illusion. Is it really still
I just
on
assumed
him? Is it invisible, or is it in his butt?
I just assume he's just prison.
And then he hands that to her and he goes, you might want to wash your hands.
You might not want to put that up to your ear. There are things worse than a pandemic. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Patrice would have never said anything that nice. So she knows her man, which was outstandingly hilarious. But they're going to need to escape this place. They're going to have to get on this train to get to this escape arc, which has never gotten to take off before. But this time they're going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Loki is coming up with the plan, because he's like, presto, I'm one of the guards and I'll lead you past them. And I'm like, this is horrible. And Sylvie ends up having to enchant someone in order to make this terrible plan work.
Yeah, but I will point out, it's not like she jumped and did anything at the beginning of this anyway.
She was going to.
It didn't really look like it, Hank.
Now, Loki...
She only did what she had to do because they were caught in a pinch. Besides that, it didn't see. She was sitting there trying to figure out what to do, and Loki was like, "I'll try this right away."
Yeah. Loki looked dashing in that little blue outfit. He was hilarious. But Loki can't go backwards on a train, which I started thinking about it, and I was like, "Is that my problem?" I don't think I like to go backwards on trains either. But Loki's like, I don't want to sit with my back to the door. So this is a Loki tendency right here.
Well, no, I like the fact that she's like, there's a door over there too.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of didn't matter.
Yeah.
So our reluctant team, they talk lineage, and Sylvie said that she was told she was adopted. That's a Loki thing.
Yeah.
And then Loki does his fireworks magic. Those are cheap parlor tricks that he's accused other people of doing in the past.
Yep.
Cheap parlor tricks. Sylvie taught herself enchantment, and Loki takes both drinks off that tray, which was outstanding. And they kind of turn that discussion into the woman who stayed behind. What is love? Love is hate. It's poetry time. But when he pulls the freaking pen out, that feather pen out,
Oh, yeah,
I
they write that stuff down. They write down, and especially this nonsense where he's like reaching up in the air to pluck it out and put it
yeah.
down. Maybe like like man, you show off.
And they actually, if you screen grab that, they actually wrote "Love is hate" on the paper.
Ah,
I was
well,
like, you didn't have to go that far. Let's move on to Sylvie falling asleep. Now, why would she fall asleep?
I mean, I don't think because as guardians don't necessarily need to sleep as often as a normal human would have to.
Ah, okay. But
Not to mention that she
how
doesn't want to drink, and he's because she wants to have a clear mind, and we definitely know that guardians have crazy resilience.
and how do settlers from 2077 know Asgardian songs?
I think this song that he was singing at Sylvie was an Asgardian song, but I think that the song that he was singing prior to that wasn't necessarily an Asgardian song. But I will entertain this for a moment. A lot of the Viking songs that we even have nowadays, which were, talked that were handed down from generations that came from the gods. So it's completely possible that some of these stuff, especially drinking songs, got passed around. Now, yes, it's a little far-fetched if you're saying 2077 on some remote planet out there, but I don't know. It is also possible that he could have just been like, snap his fingers and everyone just kind of like has the lyrics in front of them. I mean, that's something that Loki could have done as well.
I was just going from the language.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is from the last song he sings is the Asgardian song, and you notice nobody else is singing that. It's just Loki by himself. In fact,
Okay.
I did not get a chance to do it. But I was trying to back up and put on closed caption to see if it actually did translation. And just to get everyone laughing, apparently Disney Plus has the option to turn on vocal description, and that's what I turned on instead. So it's like they'll get done talking, and it'll be like Loki gets done talking. I mean, it says this out loud at you, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm like, oh, that's not subtitle.
Now, Loki has drawn too much attention. So, okay. She has stated that enchantments require a lot to keep the stuff around it going.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is he in a TVA jacket?
You know what? I don't. I think that's a question. I mean, if he's had enough to drink that he's drunk now, then who the heck knows? Because it was just one. I agree. I thought that was weird. Why wouldn't he end up back in his old Loki outfit? But you know what? Hold on. He was already wearing this, and every time that he changes, the only thing he's doing is using his magic to change the image of what he's currently wearing. So maybe he just doesn't give a flying toot right now, and he's just, his magic just resorts back to what he was currently wearing.
Okay, because I was just wondering, like, if it takes a lot of mind power to enchant someone, and he has enchanted her instead of her him, because he asked first in one episode, he says that is what does he use the term, like, that is a cowardly magic act, correct?
Yeah,
he says that in episode 2, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then in this episode, he asks her, how do you do it? So which is it? You either know what it is or you don't. So I wonder if he has enchanted her, and this is some sort of a game he's playing, because that's what he does. He plays games with people. But now, love is a dagger, which is a terrible metaphor, and we see that it's ticket time, then fight time, then almost kill a friend throwing the dagger. And then it is one of my favorite movies of all time, throw Loki from the train.
Oh, when he throws that dagger, like, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, watch how much of a dead eye he is. And he hits at the wall, and she's like, you're terrible at this. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, but he didn't hit you.
Right.
So it can't be that bad.
Did you see when she threw her one-horned tiara thing?
Yep, she took that off and just started killing people with them. Yep.
She did some damage. I love that they didn't bring it back magically either.
Yeah.
All right, Sylvie follows him out the window, but the Tim pad is broken. And how come it takes a few seconds for it to start smoking?
I don't, this is the most nonsense out of this whole thing, okay? Because, like, again, to me, whenever he makes things vanish, like it's going into like a pocket dimension. Because that's no, hold on.
A
Yes,
pocket.
I'm gonna say this is like the D&D side of me. Okay, when you have magic to make things disappear, typically it's either completely gone or it's put into like a little a quote unquote pocket
But
dimension, which would be like a bag of holding. So it's out of the way and takes up no space. But it's not going to break in there, not unless you stabbed it or something. So, like, when he's bringing it, he's like, "Oh, rolled around. Oh, you see how I landed?" And he brings it back and it's broken. But like, well, where was it? Hey, and you know what? If it was up his butt, I don't think it'd be broken as bad. Also, he would probably have some terrible butt pains.
Oh, so that makes no sense how it got broken because he got blasted earlier with an energy weapon and nothing happened to it. But this time, something happens to it. So this, I believe we're going to find out in episode 4 that this all is either some sort of misdirect or hallucination. We'll find out.
It's not like he couldn't do that. Like if he could make one appear and look like it's broken, but the thing is he hands it to her. And if it's illusion, or even if it was a what do you call that? Like duplication magic,
right?
Like it doesn't last forever. So I don't remember if she threw it afterwards because I thought she was like, "Can we fix it?" And then he was trying to fix it, like broke more, and it fell in front of him. So like it's yeah, you know what? Seriously, the physical comedy that they did in this was terrific.
Yeah, it was good. Sylvie throws a tantrum, and we see that green emanate from her.
Oh, she does a scream and does the pulse. Yeah,
that was cool. That was really good. And then we find out that Ark never leaves, but they are trying to make sure it does this time. But obviously, we're going to know what happens there. But Sylvie tells us about enchantment, which we were just talking about. In this conversation, she reveals that C20 was a regular person on Earth before the TVA. They're all variants like them two are.
Well, I mean, and I'll point out that I didn't call the fact that they're variants because I did not actually think of that, but I did call out the fact that they pulled them from Earth and that they had their minds wiped and they're working for them. I said that exactly.
Ah. A drunk dog is right every once in a while, right?
Hey, man, you have no idea. You stole my text. I was watching it, and I'm like, ha ha! Man, I'm knocking them out tonight.
Yeah, only 5,000 wrong and 2 right. Okay, that's good average.
I wish I could take gold stars away from you.
So they're trying to get on this arc, and their stunt doubles are able to kick some butt, man. There was so clearly stunt doubles on this one. I thought that was a fail for this episode. And they use lots of powers, including, didn't you think when somebody stopped a tower from coming down using who knows what, and it just returned back up into its setting? It was almost like somebody was rewinding time.
Well, no. He still has magic. He can do some of that stuff.
When have we ever seen him stop an object in any movie like that, falling like that?
All right, when has
he's using Google? He doesn't know.
I don't know.
He has to use the Google juice. But anyway, I found that to be utterly, why wouldn't you just teleport or move or I don't know. I just found that to be interesting. So did somebody stuff some freaking infinity stones in his pocket hoping they might work on a different outing?
Yeah, I mean, and seriously, whenever he had those at first, I did think about that. I'm like, dude, if you can get out of there, pocket a bunch of those things because as soon as you're out, but there is one thing that is a caveat behind all this, and this is one of the things that's even like kicked around in the DCU. So, we don't know about it here, and we don't know if it's confirmed here. but I know that in the comic books that the Infinity Stones are specific to the universes that they're from.
Mhm.
So what happens is as soon as you start using one outside of the universe that it's from, it doesn't work because
Okay.
it's attuned to that. So like in the DC universe, shoot, what is his name? Oh my God. Who is the Thanos counterpart? I should know this.
Dark Side.
Darkseid, thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Darkseid at one point in time gets the Infinity Gauntlet. And he's like, I can feel that the gems are like these powerful things. And then his scientists are like, yeah, but because it's from a different reality, it's going to be ineffective here. And he's like, this thing means nothing to me then. And he just like tosses it away.
Wow.
So I mean, that's a thing in the comic books that they've proven. I don't know if it's going to be the case here in the MCU. So, because that would be their way of being able to stop that. But if for me, I'd have just emptied that whole drawer into my pocket and been like,
yeah,
well, let's
one of these going to work.
Yeah. Well, just imagine if they do work and you've got like, I don't know, like 5 reality gems.
That'd be epic.
I know. You could just be like, no. I'm just going to rewrite this whole planet.
So something obviously is going on there. I don't think he has the mojo to stop a collapsing building of that size. Just stop it dead in its tracks and make it rewind almost back up. So I don't know. Something's going on there. But are you ready to get into our ratings before we continue to rant more?
Yeah, let me read this last sentence here that because I just Googled that, and because the article I picked was, does he have the time stone? Okay. So this last sentence in here, this is from a news fetcher. It says, though this is not a proven theory and Loki could not picked any of the Infinity Stones as they were powerless in the TVA, Casey, the one who is in charge of keeping the confiscated articles, says the TVA receives a lot of these stones. He also adds the Infinity Stones are used as nothing more than paperwork in episode 1. All the information that we currently know. I mean, it is not impossible that he has a time stone on him. So I don't have an answer to this. Okay. I don't know. I think he can do it, but I mean, this is him actually flexing his muscle for a change, but you'd feel that like in Avengers, when he's fighting the Hulk, he would just, do a just bash Hulk like through the, a wall or whatnot. So you know what, Hank, I'll give it to you. It is completely possible that he's running around with Infinity Stone right now. I mean, he still has the Space Stone, doesn't he?
That would be so cool if he had pocketed that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So wherever he puts his dimensional stuff he should have that as well. But...
yeah, he's got the Tesseract in his butt.
Yeah, but let's get into our ratings, shall we?
Hey, wait. Square peg, round hole?
Not bad. We've gone first grade humor on this episode of the podcast.
You have to put a warning on this. Be like, watch out for the butt humor.
Yeah, first graders have invaded the podcast.
Absolutely.
All right, what you giving this one?
No, you go first this time.
Okay. I did not like this episode very much at all. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cover for it. There's stuff, if they don't explain some of the stuff in these following episodes, then there's no redemption for this current number 3 episode, because there were so many things that just don't add up or don't make sense or just seem cobbled together. So if we start next week and they're like, oh, he had her in an enchantment, or she had him in an enchantment the whole time using stuff that they, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But since he's never been there and she has, it would need to be him having her in an enchantment. So trying to use stuff she's seen before. But yeah, it's a 7 for me. I did not think it was well constructed episode.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to say 8, but after our conversation here, I think I would drop it down and I'll match you with a 7, because you're right. I mean, it's what a lot of the stuff is what we want to see, more like banter of Loki with basically anybody. It doesn't really matter who he's talking to. After he gets rolling, it's just kind of comical. But but you're right. There's too many questions here that are not the fun type of questions. More along the lines like that doesn't make sense unless Loki is completely playing a game this entire time. Like if he wasn't drunk, he was sober. He didn't break the pad. It was actually not broken. Let's even go to the full extent and say maybe he made an illusion to make it look like the battery was dead in it, just so he could try and coach more information out of her. If we're talking about the Loki that's 10 steps ahead of everybody, that would make sense. But if that's not the case, then you're right. Then this is automatically a 7. I mean, it's up there. It's good. It was entertaining. I laughed. I was excited that, things were being proven right. But then you had these moments where you're just like, what? Well, I don't get that. Like the building, the temp pad, the little nuances with their conversation, the fact that she's leaving out all this information and he's just like spilling his guts. That's another reason why I think she's the Enchantress, because why would she want to give away the information like that whenever she knows that she's not really Loki? Because clearly, as you can see, Loki likes to talk.
Yeah.
And they say that all Lokis like to talk. I mean, she's not really that talkative.
Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, it's not a 10. It was fun, but it wasn't exciting.
Okay. I'm with you. Well, shall we get in? We got one piece of feedback. Shall we get into that and then speculate a little more?
Yeah.
All right. So this one comes to us from Elizabeth. Hi, Hank and John. One of the sets Loki and Sylvie walked through reminded me of The Mandalorian. Set redressing? While I enjoyed Loki being charming and singing, it was an odd ending. I can only assume Mobius magically appears and rescues them because we have 3 episodes to go. What did I miss? P.S. Any ideas on what Asgardian translates into on Earth? And that's Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I thought the same thing when they went up to the settler's house. That looks like a Mandalorian set.
Hold on. I completely forgot when I walked downstairs. I told my wife, thank you, Elizabeth. You're absolutely right. But I think you're in the wrong sci-fi franchise. This was 100% a Doctor Who episode. Because we were watching 2 goofy British people with accents walking around trying to solve getting stuff off with a chaotic something bad actually happened with weird sets that were more flashy and didn't really look that realistic. I mean, seriously, I was like, I just watched a Doctor Who. I mean, but it was Loki playing Doctor Who. I mean, Sonic Screwdriver, 2 daggers. It was pretty much right on. Like, even though that just in the space, this is when if you watch anyone who's into any of the modern Doctor Who's, how many times you end up on a planet where you're like, oh, there's a building and there's nothing else around it because it's just like you're in a gravel lot. Well, that's because guess what? They were filming in a gravel lot. Very similar to this.
Interesting stuff. So what else did she say? Mobius magically appearing? Do you think so? Or do you think Loki just pulls out the real TemPad and goes, oh, okay, I was just joking. Sorry, mischief.
I think it's that because you got to think that, he's already proven the fact that there's a loophole in their system that they can't figure out apocalyptic events because it doesn't matter. In the end, everyone dies, so it doesn't change the timeline. Okay. So it's not like they can look at the timeline. Not to mention right now, the timeline's been fractured. So it's not like they can purposely be like, nope, this is where they're at. I don't know. It's going to be a mystery to me. So, or the TARDIS shows up and they get inside the TARDIS, like I said, the Doctor Who episode, and then they leave.
So what you're saying is the timeline is fractured, but whole.
Well, no, we saw that. Like at the end.
No, did you get?
Yeah. Sorry, it took a second. I know. I think there might be some fissures going on.
Oh goodness. Mobius appearing. Obviously, he's got to show up in the next episode just for contractual agreements, I would hope. But I don't know. Would he be able to find them?
I don't think so. Considering that in the previous episode, we're not even talking like a couple hours right now. I mean, they've already proven the fact that their loophole in the system is apocalyptic events.
Okay, so. Yeah, I don't think he'll show up. I think either somebody's in somebody's mind and this was all just a game, or Loki's going to pull out that TemPad and be like, oh, I just had to see what you were up to, or I just had to see if your mission was worthy or whatever, follow me and go through another one.
Well, hold on a second, Hank. I'm this article that I have up right here from Den of Geek actually has a line here, and I did not catch this, and I'm going to have to go back and take a look. It says during the end credits, there is a collection of TVA files and a photo on a desk showing Loki and Sylvie together. Apparently, they're getting their images from their exploits on Lamentis 1, as one photo is specifically Loki as a train guard. Looks like these two aren't as hidden from the authorities as they realize. So maybe they will see them.
Oh, that's awesome, because if they're further ahead in time or out of time or whatever, they would have access to stuff that's happening on the timeline.
Yeah.
But I wonder how you get their photos if the planet's destroyed.
I mean, but again,
I don't
it's
know.
like
It's weird.
In a technologically advanced civilization and everything's on a file. Like a physical paper file. So I mean, it's doesn't make sense.
And then how long was Loki there studying? That's what I can't wait to find out. But what does the Asgardian translate into on Earth?
I don't,
because they speak English as well. You notice that? Thor and Odin and all of them.
All right, hold on. Let's see what El Google says.
Yeah, he's consulting the book.
It's Icelandic.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Norse mythology.
Although I do love this line. It says from Ass God, because it definitely says ASS God, plus Gerger Yard, home stronghold. The home of the Azir. But yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sending that in. I hope we filled in some stuff that you missed and we didn't just argue the entire time, but that's what we do here. So I think John and I are going to just duck behind the spoiler curtain for just a second and just talk about next week a little bit if we can. And otherwise, we'll catch everyone next week. And remember, I do a Bad Batch podcast with Alex Cruz on the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. Subscribe today and join us. For John, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
See you, everybody.
All right, spoilers. You've been warned. So, what stands out to you as far as, like you said, the end credits where they see all the stuff on the file and stuff? How do you explain that?
I don't have an explanation for that. I don't know how they would put that. I mean, it's either one of two things. It's either that is something that is just there for fun and it's not really worked into the show. They just have it at the end, or it is, and then we just have to go along with the fact that, okay, even though they can't rewrite time because it's an apocalyptic event, they're still there, so they still have like images or whatever of it. So, but I mean, I do not know. I cannot give a definite answer on this.
Now, did you watch the trailer for next week?
No.
Do you want to avoid?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Because I'll send you the link in the chat here. I'm in the wrong chat. That's probably the problem. But I'll send you the link in the private chat. And look at that picture. Oh, somebody has black hair.
All right, hold on. Give me 1 minute. Let me watch this.
And just look at the just read the text is all I'm saying. So let me share the screen on StreamYard here. Isn't she adorable? Let me see if I can share the screen. Tab. There we go. Let's add it to the stream. So look at this little adorable kid and look at the dark hair. So she is just running from her past, is what it seems like. But where is she?
Maybe she's a time variant for 100%, and they bring exactly like I said, they bring her to the time variant police to do work there, and she escapes. But I was reading another article where they're basically suggesting that her end goal is to create the multiverse.
Oh, so she can just live free.
Yeah. Because if she destroys their perfect like lineage timeline, then everything can happen. And then we definitely are leading into the multiverse of madness.
Okay.
But another thing is suggesting that at the end of this, Loki becomes a Nexus being. And thus, Loki is allowed to live in the MCU.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Because, I mean, clearly he's now outside of the realm of a variant. He knows too much. He's still technically Loki, but now he has the information that the TVA has, and nobody else is like that. You're either TVA or you're a variant. You're not both, and he's both.
And then he says that the show's going to go in a completely new direction in episode 4, and that journey will come to a head in episode 5. He said episodes 4 and 5 are going to be truly wild. That's Tom Hiddleston himself. They said he was so giddy in the interview that it was like, whoa, like what's going to happen? You know, what could be that important? So I don't know.
Oh, okay. So here we go. I found the song and the translation. So if you didn't join us over here and behind the curtain, then I'm sorry, you're going to miss out on this. So the song that he sings in the Icelandic says, "In stormy black mountains, I wander alone. Across glaciers, I make my way to the apple garden. Stems in the end waiting and singing, when are you coming home?"
That is beautiful. Almost shed a tear.
You don't have that as like a little animation here, do you?
Little tears coming down. That'd be great. Oh, that'd be great. All right, John, we have spent enough time debating this amazing series.
Yep.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Not a problem.
All right, that's gonna really do it this time for the Mouse House Plus. I almost said the Mandalorian fan podcast. Oh my gosh. For Mouse House Plus, for John, I'm Hank. Until next time, we're really actually signing off.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.